How so?
I'm only gonna make you lose 10 pounds.
We've known him best for his acerbic, 3-time Emmy Award-winning portrayal of Hollywood powerhouse Ari Gold in Entourage.
Jesse, how have you been?
I've been...
Great, I'm back, and you're fired.
Jeremy Piven, everybody make some noise!
Or on stage to packed audiences as a stand-up comic.
White men are the Bitcoin of humanity. We were the toast of the town. Now everyone's trying to dump us.
But now, the versatile Jeremy Piven has hit the dance floor with a dream 15 years in the making, with The Performance, what some call a performance of a lifetime.
Let's go out there and give them a show.
A tour de force for Piven, who plays a Jewish-American tap dancer in New York, tapped to perform in Germany just before the war, where his secret Jewish identity could prove deadly. But the film, directed by his sister, explores just how far one is willing to risk for a dream.
And here we are, in a theater where we're the main attraction. Finally.
For Piven, it's not just a powerful and pivotal role. The timing couldn't be more poignant. With the rise of anti-Semitism at home and across the globe, Piven's performance shines a glaring light on the horrors of hate and to the timeless challenges of the human spirit. Award-winning actor, comedian, producer, Jeremy Piven. He is today's LA Story. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a really special edition of LA Stories. I'm Giselle Fernandez, and we are here with the amazingly talented Jeremy Piven, who's brought this long-held dream to the screen. It is a tour de force performance.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Does it feel like the performance of a lifetime for you?
It does. It didn't take me long to make this movie. It only took me 15 years. And every year I pitched it and they laughed in my face, I kept tap dancing, literally. My mother gave me the short story out of the New Yorker by Arthur Miller. She's like, this is the role for you. I play Harold May in 1937, a struggling tap dancer that has to hide his identity to get momentum in his career, and goes to Germany at a very turning point moment in our culture.
When your mom said, oh my gosh, this is the role for my son Jeremy, why did she say that?
I am more like this role than any role I've ever done. Harold May in the performance is me. This role is the best work of my life, by far. And unfortunately, it couldn't be more relevant. The rise in anti-Semitism, this film isn't a didactic message about current day politics. It's a beautiful story that anyone can relate to in terms of how much of yourself will you compromise for success. And my character, Harold May, is willing to risk it all. And, the stakes couldn't be higher.
Yeah, and he is at a crossroads. When he's scouted to go to Germany in the 30s, on the cusp of World War II, Jews are being persecuted more and more every single day. He knows the risk as a Jew, and he is willing to not just risk his life, but the life of his troop.
My character always wanted a family, and he couldn't have it, and he didn't have enough money, and he's a struggling tap dancer. He's not a kid anymore. He's so afraid of failure, and he wants to make it so badly, and he also thinks that art can override hate. So this isn't, just a story about the repression of the Nazis with the Jews specifically. It could be about the repression of anyone, or anyone coming to terms with who they are, because that's what my character has to do.
It leads to a small performance for the Führer himself.
Yeah.
Harold, is that? Yeah.
There's a powerful, riveting scene where Hitler extends his hand to you as Harold May.
Yeah.
What was the most gripping part of that scene for you?
I mean, all of it, every second of it. He's willing to kind of do whatever it takes to progress and become successful and ultimately risk it all.
You had to learn to tap dance to play the role.
Yeah.
I mean, how tough was that to learn?
It's close to impossible. I mean, let's be honest. and it was humiliating. I mean, the reality is I'm a grown man and I'm tapping around children and they're looking at me like it's, you know, it sounds, and then I kept going and went, oh, okay, it's starting to sound like something.
Well, the tapping is thrilling. In order to play this role, you had to get the rights. And you had to go to Arthur Miller's daughter, Rebecca, playwright in her own right. And she's married to this unknown, insignificant actor, Daniel Day-Lewis, who was in the background as you're trying to convince him, I'm the guy. How did you convince him that you're the guy?
I have no idea. I think it's divine timing. I somehow got lucky and got it. She saw the film, and she's a straight shooter, and she said it's very dad, and she loved it. I was like,
is there any greater compliment?
No.
You get emotional about
I do.
this. This piece means a lot to you. It couldn't be more poignant.
It couldn't, and the way that I contribute to this conversation is through what I do. When I saw this moment revealed in this short story, where these two friends who have gotten to know each other and respect each other and have great chemistry, and one finds out that the other is Jewish, and then everything flips. I go from a soulmate to an enemy simply by someone's religion, their heritage. It is such a perfect example of the absurdity of anti-Semitism or any type of racism.
There's a scene in the movie where Harold May is finally confronted.
I'm Jewish.
Why did he do that?
When you want something so badly that you're willing to compromise who you are, and he subconsciously knows that he can be bought. And the only way to make this stop is to own who he is.
My name is Harold Markowitz.
It cost him dearly and cost you dearly. This was a scene where you were beaten to a pulp, and I understand. How many ribs did you break?
I broke 8 ribs filming the scene where I'm being beaten. The cameraman is here, I get kicked in the stomach, and I'm thrown into the air, and I land on my side on the hardwood floor, no padding, my fault. And I immediately broke 8 ribs. And what it sounds like is taking an empty water bottle and crinkling it so I couldn't breathe. So I'm having trouble breathing, and I'm desperately trying to finish the scene. And this is all in the movie.
Is this just one take?
One take.
Oh my God.
We only got one take, but I've always been that guy my whole life to do what it takes to fully commit yourself. In this particular case, I went too far, but we got it. I'm just, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I ultimately, so it all worked out for the best.
You were raised Jewish. How did this reveal, if in any way, your Jewish identity to yourself in a different way?
I grew up in a community that was very integrated. I was like one of the only white boys on my football team, and at my bar mitzvah, no one had been to a bar mitzvah. No one. They were taking the yarmulkes, and they thought they were
pocket squares.
They thought they were pocket squares, or frisbees, and they were throwing it. You grow up in this culture where the reality is, if you're funny or interesting or smart or any of these things, that's all that matters. The skin color didn't matter. Religion, it was just, we were all in it together. And it wasn't until we all left high school that when I got introduced to all this hatred after I grew up.
Did making this film make you proud?
As a Jew, as an actor, as a person, as a human being, I don't think it's a mistake that it's the best work of our lives.
This is a great place to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to get more into the childhood influences that kind of fueled your rise in Hollywood and your brilliant acting career when LA Stories comes right back. Welcome back to LA Stories, everyone. We're here with comedian, actor, tap dancer, producer, Jeremy Piven. You grew up literally in the family business, which was the Piven Family Theater outside of Chicago in Illinois. Amazing parents who were your first acting teachers, I guess, coaches. What did they most teach you?
It's so funny you say business. There was nothing, we had no business. We were artists that didn't know how to make money in any way, shape, or form. We grew up at the Evanston Inn, which was an old folks home because my father, we didn't have any money. And I came home to watch cartoons one day, and we had been robbed, and there was no couch or there was no furniture. And I said, Mom, we've been robbed. And she said, no, we've used all the furniture for the set. We're doing the seagull. And I'm going, why can't we be normal? Just be normal. Why can't Dad be a mover or something? Why do you have to be actors? We used everything for the stage. We did it because we love to do it. And I think one of the great early lessons that I learned from both of my parents was that you are enough. Get up on stage, don't doubt yourself. They gave you the confidence to really feel like you had something to contribute. So I crawled up on the stage at 8 years old, and half a century later, I'm still doing it.
You went on to get your degree in theater and then started getting little roles, right?
The first film I ever did was Lucas, and the circus came to town. It was just, I'm a Chicago guy, and suddenly all these Hollywood people show up, and Charlie Sheen, and I admired his father, Martin Sheen, and the first movie I ever saw was Apocalypse Now, and it's like, oh my God, he's related to Martin Sheen. Wow. This is crazy. I was definitely living the dream.
Right, and you called yourself a scrapper, taking on what you could. But what I thought was interesting in your superpower is that even the tiniest role you played as if it were the leading man role. Is that what got you to where you are?
It's true, that old saying, there are no small parts. It's just, you take it and you give the character as much integrity and a point of view as possible, and you throw yourself in.
You would then be cast as Ari Gold,
yeah.
This super acerbic, super agent, arrogant, brash.
I have hundreds of clients to deal with, and just so we're clear, I don't care about any of them.
And that role literally catapulted you to being a household name. You won 3 consecutive Emmys, Golden Globe. Did it go to your head?
Probably. It felt like I'd been shot out of an emotional cannon. I was like, oh my God, how do I even navigate that? So that was a great surprise to me.
Jeremy, on your right, please, on your right.
That character, he was larger than life, and I played it like a Greek tragedy. He was always, the stakes couldn't be higher for Ari.
And you have said, couldn't have been more of an antithetical character to who you really are. How did you deal with that? Because you'd say you'd go out in the street and people would run into you and they'd expect you to be that guy, and when you weren't, they were disappointed.
People would think that I'm Ari, and they would see me and they would immediately show me their Ari Gold energy. I'm a douchebag because of you, bro. Huh? Because of you, bro, I'm a douchebag. I'm like, oh, thank you, sir, my work is done. There's such a compliment there, because if you play a character authentically and they relate to the character, who makes it very clear that he's about the money, very, very clear, and that's who he is. Well, that's not who I am.
When you play a part so well and so convincingly that hits, it can be defining.
Well, let me ask you a question. I'm sorry to ask you a question. And this is going to be a very Hollywood, enough about me. What do you think about me? It's going to be one of those moments, so get ready. When you saw the performance, did you think of Ari Gold?
No.
No.
Because it was so actually, such a huge contrast to Ari Gold, which is just a testament to your abilities. And you won all these Emmys, you won these awards, and you're at the top of your career, A-lister. And then there were some women who came forward and said, oh, inappropriate behavior. You've adamantly denied for years.
Yes.
The press ran with it anyway. There were never any charges. There were never any settlements paid out.
Yeah.
But you were hurt by that.
Yeah, it was very hurtful. And the first thing that happens is that you're confused. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. I'm in a lot of pain. By the way, that needed to happen. And there were people, and there were bad guys out there, and they needed to be taken down. And there was misuse of power, and that's real. And with me, when you're in the moment, it's tragic. And how do you pull yourself out of that?
How did you?
By going inward, by embracing the truth and who I am, and being as present as possible, and grateful for this life. I remember talking to this rabbi, and he said, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. I was like, what? As I'm, crying, and I'm, and I thought, wow, that's crazy. How is that possible? And it has to be, because if you pull yourself out alone And if there's no one there for you and you can pull yourself out, it's so empowering. And then you realize, wow, nothing can stop me.
What did you learn most about yourself?
Resilience, don't ever give up on yourself. And when you don't do that, it's so empowering. It really is. I don't wish it upon anyone to be brought to their knees, never. But the insight to know that you can do this, and the performance, the film, is an extension of that. It's no mistake that the best work of my life and the most profound work that is incredibly timely, all of these things led me to this film.
Do you think of it as a comeback?
I think of it as my best work by far. And we are ourselves, and we never leave ourselves. So it's like I haven't gone anywhere. And it gave me a chance to really grow and evolve and go inward, become a stand-up comic. What a gift this ultimately is. And I think that we need to, in this life, no matter what happens to you, we have to see it as a gift. A stand-up comic said to me, you're gonna be a better actor because you've been a stand-up now for so long. And I thought, how is that possible? And the reality is, when you're on stage every night and you're doing your act and you're performing and you're interacting with the audience, you then have no rust on you. You're yourself. You're not a character. And by the way, when you're performing stand-up, you have nothing to hide. That's very, very powerful. And the audience can tell right away if you have something to hide. So when I went back to acting, he was right. I became a better actor. And forgive me, but I think you saw that in the performance, didn't you?
It was, there you're becoming an interviewer again. It was the most riveting performance, and you were simply masterful. And we're going to get more into your stand-up comedy when LA Stories comes right back. Welcome back to LA Stories, everyone. We are here with the amazing Jeremy Piven, and when you stepped away from film and TV for a bit, you literally were touring the country on stage doing comedic stand-up.
Yes.
How much fun was that?
So much fun, and you know what's fascinating about stand-up is I've been on stage since I was a child, and to give you a perspective on how hard stand-up is, because people are like, oh, you're funny, you've been on stage your whole life, just go and do it. And I get up on stage, and I'll never forget it, and I remember feeling totally pinned in. I was having trouble breathing. When you're alone on the mic, you have no one to play off of. It's you. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. But by the way, I was very lucky because I had access to the greats. I could go and ask Dave Chappelle, what is this? No, seriously, what is this like? What is this like? Talk to me. And Jamie Foxx and Tiffany Haddish. And they were so generous with me to tell me what it's like.
How healing.
It's very healing and very freeing. Look at the two things that I've learned how to do in the last decade: tap dancing and stand-up. The two most, and arguably the most difficult things in the world to do. So you just got to get after it, and it's going to get easier, and you just stay after it, and then it becomes a miracle.
What is your dream?
I've always wanted to play Lenny Bruce.
Oh my gosh, this makes you emotional. You want this one.
He fought for freedom of speech. And that's a beautiful, tragic soul who, was a guy who defended himself. I mean, who doesn't want to play? One of the greatest comedians of all time who broke through and was a guy who showed us the importance of freedom of speech. And he died doing it, defending himself, literally.
What's next?
Continuing, to do my own projects are so rewarding. Working with family is incredibly rewarding.
Well, and for good reason, because there's a lot of buzz around your performance in the film, The Performance.
Yeah.
What would it mean to you to win a big award?
I know what this performance is. I know how real it is. This started with my mother giving me the short story, and then my sister adapts it and directs it. We come from the theater, so it would...
Full circle,
yeah,
family
full
legacy.
Absolutely.
Well, Jeremy Piven, it's a masterful role for you,
Thank you.
Congratulations. And I have a feeling the best is yet to come. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. This has been great. Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, and thank you for watching another edition of LA Stories. I'm Giselle Fernandez. See you next time. Yeah.
That was great. By the way, I don't have tap shoes on. The first day of rehearsal, I'm with my sister at her home, and we've got this new camera that we're playing with, and I'm on the ground like this. I swear to God, I'm on the ground in the splits, right? And her daughter walks in the kitchen, and her weird Uncle Jeremy, is doing the splits with a camera on the ground, and she just goes, "Oh my God," and just walks out. She was humiliated. You always want to be flexible as a tap dancer, and people are like, "How do you do that?" I'll leave you with that.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you then.